and welcome back to DMA Untamed. Today we'll be having quite the interesting discussion, which sits at the heart of modern marketing. The question of the day is, do we build for virality or do we build for value? It's a question every marketer, every creative, every agency and brand wrestle with, especially now when we're in the attention economy, where attention moves at the speed of a swipe and impact is measured over quarters, over years. I know we have just finished doing yearly reports. And so how do you balance those two? And the spirit of this year's theme, which is Go Wild, Witness Ingenuity, Love and Dedication, will explore how bold ideas can capture culture and create measurable, meaningful growth. Because the challenge isn't choosing one or the other, it's what does both do for your brand. And I'm joined today by three lovely guests. On my left is Bridget Wambua, Senior Brand Manager for Tusker at East African Breweries Limited, where she leads one of your favorite drinks, if you're watching this, and it's the most iconic, culturally resonant beer brand. And it has consistently delivered campaigns that go beyond traditional advertising, embedding themselves in national narratives. So you know it as Tusker, and it's one of the many brands she leads. With over 6 years at Diageo, 14 awards globally, not Hapa too, globally, and across multiple premium brands. She has worked at GSK previously and will be leveraging the culturally meaningful experiences she has helped deliver today. Karibu. On her left, we have Mwenda Mugambi, a data scientist, which we shall find out how you entered this market, product designer and digital marketing strategist at JumboJet, where he serves as digital marketing executive. He leads data-driven campaigns that boost revenue. So once we go on to that value conversation, he'll be really, really key for that. He specializes in performance marketing, which we had a great session today at the 2025 DMA Masterclasses, and UX-led optimization. So if you've seen JumboJet and it works perfect for you, Mwenda Mugambi is there. He's passionate about data and AI and how they shape the future of marketing and transform how brands authentically connect with their customers. And last but definitely not least, Christine Washira, seasoned marketing and communications leader with over a decade of experience. That does not mean she's old. Gen Z at heart, right? And she is the marketing and corporate communication manager at Jubilee Asset Management. She leads strategic initiatives to enhance brand visibility, deepen client relationships, and drive business growth. She joined Jubilee Asset Management from NCBA Group, where she was instrumental in driving omni-channel campaigns and overseeing digital transitions. So really a really strong host of guests today to talk about this question. And starting from Bridget, I'd love to know, how do you personally define valuable marketing, and what must you see in a piece of work before you say it has created real business or brand impact?
Thank you, Michael. I look at one thing. Has it changed behavior? Yeah. Has it had a shift in how the consumer behaves? If not, then questionable. But if it does, if it changes how perception, if it definitely moves the consumers to purchase, and if that purchase is not just momentarily, but it's sustained, that it increases that baseline, then that is how I define
Actual value.
actual value. Yeah. So that it's not just a fad. It's not just something that comes and goes. It doesn't evaporate after every, 5 or 6 months, but it's sustained. That's actual value. Yeah.
And Mugabe, as a data scientist, a person who deep dives into the weeds of AI and data, how do you personally define valuable marketing?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. For me, the value goes two ways. So for me, the first thing is a campaign addressing a customer need that we had identified and went into the market to try and solve. So the first thing is working with a customer. Are we addressing some of the challenges that you had, or at least elevating attention that we had identified? Then the other side, on the business side, is again, as Bridget says, the behavior change. Are the consumers adopting a new product more effectively? Are they being educated more on a certain service? And also now on the revenue side, is there a change based on where we started, where we are moving, and then working again back with the data to continue improving on the same?
Okay. And Christine, I know banks, insurance, the finance space is different.
Yeah.
Where what defines valuable marketing?
Okay. So at least not just even in the finance industry, just generally, valuable marketing is what will bring you, what has an impact to the company and to the customer. So are you just doing campaigns and putting out content there because it's for vibes and to ride the wave? Or is it something that you can defend to your CFO to justify a budget of what you spent and how you can get more next year? So it's something that has an impact to the customer and to the business, and not just riding the wave because it's trending. Yeah. And I know there's a lot of pressure because every day there's a new thing that's happening. And even from people who are non-marketers, who are mostly like CFOs and CEOs, they're like, why is our brand not out there? Why aren't we visible? But to them, then they forget at the end of the day, they're the ones who at the end of the year, at the end of the campaign, they want you to show value. So I think just as marketers is for you to stand and know this is what brings value to my brand, to my customers, and that's what I'm focusing on as value. The others for vibes maybe once in a while, but the key focus is on what is bringing the money to the company and to the customer.
Back into it. And I like the way you've put it, because there's the money aspect, but we're also looking at it from the consumer's lens. And it ties back to a question I wanted to ask, where we often confuse memorable for meaningful, right? The brands, and I know it's a conversation we had before we started this, but they're brands that are widely remembered. But a harsh way to put it is that what they're remembered for becomes commercially useless or even harmful. Are there any examples that come to mind, or is there a situation where you've seen that happen?
Yeah. So there's definitely a difference between memorable and meaningful. So memorable is you do something, it goes viral. Some people can't remember it. Most people will remember it, but there is no translation into, did you get clicks out of it that you can quantify at the end of it all? Did you get leads out of it that you can perhaps engage in the future, now or in the future? While on the other hand, meaningful is that you got something tangible for the business or to the customer. So there is that difference. That memorable can be ha moment and it's good for vibes, but then the meaningful part of it is that it has to translate into something. So locally, when I think about something that was memorable, and especially in the finance industry, it's something like, we know the equity ad for I'm a member.
Member.
Yeah, Mimi member.
Yeah.
And I think it was translated in all dialects, and it was I'm a member. And people, when you say I'm a member, everyone remembers it was equity. Did it translate into business? Yes, because that's when equity came into the market, found the big banks that were a bit elite, and then it got everyone in, and everyone felt the need to belong to the brand.
Yeah.
Grew equity significantly, and we always remember equity from that perspective. You always feel like you belong to that brand.
Yeah.
Campaigns that maybe didn't work out in a memorable, meaningful way. We know the Pepsi ad where maybe the intention for the brand was to ride the wave based on what was happening that time. But it was wrong. It was the wrong timing, and it worked against the brand. So you just have to be intentional. Do I want to be memorable, or do I want to be meaningful? Yeah. So the equity campaign was was very meaningful, because it translated into business. Not just equity, even other, and I don't know if you guys, I have a long experience. I don't know if you guys were born by then. There's a time, NIC was a small bank back then, relatively small, and they did this campaign for Move. So the intention for the brand was to move people, basically move to NIC, because NIC was trying to come up as a bank. Yeah. And then people who were trying to open new accounts, people from big legacy banks moved to Move. And at some point, because it became so memorable, most people started referring to that bank as the Move Bank as opposed to NIC Bank. So it became a viral campaign, but then people opened actual accounts, and that's when NIC now started being visible. So you can't start from being memorable, but what's the final intention to it? Do I just want people to remember me for vibes, or do I want to drive business out of it? In this space where we exist for influencers, there's a lot of comedy influencers, and I've been a victim where maybe there's a suggestion for a campaign and you're told, try this influencer because they have a huge following, they're funny, it's a radio presenter. But then at the end of it all, once the campaign is done, what's in it for me as a brand? What has the consumer gained out of that? Will that same person push another brand and be funny?
Yeah.
And to you just paid your campaign money and it's over. What's in it for me afterwards? Did the laughs translate into clicks to my website? Did they translate into people opening accounts? Yeah, so maybe they can coexist, but meaningful is the end goal.
Yeah, and I think you've touched on something interesting, because we in the agency wrestle with it a little bit, where everything has metrics that you can track. But we've often seen not only influencers, not only brands, but people can game the metrics themselves. And I want to pose this to Bridget, but to all of you as well. There's an argument that viral fame only benefits the platform. TikTok is growing immensely as a platform because of viral fame. We are paying the cost as brands, as agencies, but how are we creating value for TikTok and Meta, or are we creating value for ourselves?
It depends on how you create the content. Yeah, there's some content that is really just us paying rent to TikTok, and there's some content that actually pays back to the brand. It depends on is that content true to the product truth, to what the brand stands for? Is it anchored in culture? Is it anchored in what the brand believes in? Or is it just jumping onto a trend, right? And there's content that has been viral, jumped onto a trend, but then it really doesn't benefit the brand after that. If you take out the logo, think about it. If you take out the logo of that content and you put another logo on that content, if it still goes viral, then it doesn't benefit the brand.
Yeah.
But if you remove the logo of that content and then it doesn't really make sense, then it doesn't go viral, then it really benefits the brand. Yeah. Think about an example, and I was talking about it before we started. KFC recently had something that went viral. The stick figures. Yes. If it was HR blankets, ajakuja kumbe makosa imefanyika, if you remove that logo for KFC and put their Citizen, would it still have, been viral? Would it? Maybe not. Yeah. I won't be the jury, the judge and the executor. But that's usually the check for me. Yeah. Is it true to the brand? If I remove my logo as Tusker, will it still go viral? If at all it does, then there's still something, a product truth that we haven't really.
Yeah, I think for me the value still has to be measured. Yeah. So to some extent, we don't have a choice. These platforms will always benefit from us putting out content, from brands spending on these ads. So how do you capitalize on the visibility that you're getting from these platforms? So when you're running ads, you're typically either targeting an audience that you do not know, or you're using data from lookalike audiences.
Yeah.
So for me, how I get maximum value from the same platforms is I do my best to make sure all the ads that we are running, the campaigns that we're running on these platforms are also giving us first-party data. Now with first-party data, I now control the inventory that I'm trying to get from these platforms. And then now you can collect more information on the user behavior, and then now get richer leads and mature these audiences to be able to convert with you. Yeah. Otherwise, if there's some campaigns where that wouldn't be necessary. There are some that are just for brand affinity. Otherwise, if brands don't leverage on the awareness that they're getting to collect first-party data and push products so that you can also track the adoption, then of course the platforms are the only ones that are getting the benefits. If you're working with influencers, they will do more content. Their content will be trending. You're basically just feeding the platform algorithms.
Yeah.
And the brand loses itself.
And building almost on that is, for you, Christine, is there a framework or mental model that when, let's say, the agency or the team is presenting, you use to distinguish hype worth chasing, or this is just noise we should ignore?
Okay. Yeah. So I look at that from the perspective of what's the objective for the campaign. Because there is a space and a time for funny for memes.
Yeah.
There's a time and space in the campaign strategy when I just want people to know there's a new product that I'm pushing, and that's all matters. But then that cannot be the only objective for the campaign from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
There now comes to a time where I need to justify what I did with the budget. I cannot go and say we got 10,000, laughters, emojis on the post.
Yeah.
It doesn't, even me as a marketer, it would be wrong to try and justify that. So depending on the campaign that I'm running, I measure, like in terms of like my current workplace is right now, we are all about leads. So if I go, say the campaign got awareness, 1 million impressions, to them it's just noise. But if I get leads and I'm able to convert that, that's what matters to the campaign. So those are the metrics I check, like things like leads, clicks to the website. But there is a space for the other. I can't dismiss the impressions and the engagements in a campaign because there is a time and space for them. But then now, at the end of it all, I need to have something tangible that I can say, this is the business that I brought in from the campaign as a marketer, and this is the pipeline for conversion. So also touching on that, then something also I'm coming to appreciate more is working with the business, like things like the sales team, the business development team, so that as they convert, I can also be able to attribute those conversions to my campaigns. So not just to pass on leads to them and say marketing campaign delivered 10,000 leads and I'm ready for the next campaign.
Yeah.
So it's then working together with the conversion teams, the teams that do business development, to ensure that I'm able to track what are the conversions, because we can just, platforms are there to monetize. If you tell them you want leads, these guys for media buying, you get leads instantly. Yeah, but at the end of it all, what business did it bring to the business that I can attribute to the campaign?
True.
Yeah.
True. I think that's a struggle we continue to have, because are we making for the algorithm or are we making stuff for people? And a question I do have for the both of you is, has marketing changed in the sense that we need to value the algorithm as much as the people? Or do we put the people first and say the algorithm will deliver?
One feeds into the other. So the first thing, you have to start with the audience that you're targeting. So be human, be authentic with the communication that you're putting out. And then now, how do you make sure that the algorithm serves you to the right people? So there isn't much, I don't know, maybe I can explain something that we've done at Jambojet to work with people and then use the people to trick the algorithms to feed us. Yeah. So in February, around the Valentine period, we did something small that was just supposed to collect the data for us. Collect the data, and then that will form the idea and building foundation for the anniversary campaign. So we did a small Valentine campaign called Hearts versus Wings. We sent out a lot of communication with forms, people choosing different teams. Are you lovey-dovey? Are you, flights over feelings? We got a lot of information there on destinations, travel preferences, age, and the like. Then with that, we started curating our anniversary campaign, which ended up being the More Than a Journey hunt. So what did this do for us? When all these people were feeding the data and we were able to collect the destination preferences. Then during the More Than a Journey hunt, the first phase, we put out content across all our social media pages, leading them to different pages on our website. So if you see an ad on Meta, you'll click it, go to Jambojet, scroll a bit, then what is the Meta pixel deciding? It's realizing this person is probably interested in Jambojet content. And then what do Meta do? Meta serves us to your audience lookalikes. So if Michael likes Jambojet, his friends might probably like Jambojet, then feeds our content to them. Different products around our website. Then when we went to the main More Than a Journey Hunt campaign, where we included our influencers and the like, we got participation from all over the country, even in places where we do not travel to. We got over 4,000 participants joining this campaign digitally and actually even on ground, people visiting these destinations and trying to find our influencers. So you start with your audience and then work with the insights you're getting from your audience to create content that will allow the algorithm to reach those right people and continue expanding on your customer base. Yeah.
Let me tell you, when you don't start with your consumer, when you don't start with the people that are purchasing, that are keeping you in business, then you're losing out. You're basically manipulating, and it doesn't stick. Whatever you're trying to do doesn't stick. So he has a more scientific way of explaining. All I'll say is start with the consumer. Put the consumer at the heart of what you're doing. The algorithm will be an enabler to make it go viral, to be meaningful, to be impactful. If you start the other way, now it won't stick. It won't be for long. Yeah.
I think one of my questions to you, this year at the DMAs, we're celebrating going wild, right? Boldness, where we're celebrating ingenuity, love, dedication. Which of this do you think brands under-invest in, and why?
Ingenuity, love, and dedication. I think we under-invest in love. Because if we really loved our consumers, we'd churn out campaigns and experiences, products that benefit and that address a consumer issue, that fix a gap. And not just campaigns to win cans, not campaigns to win lorries. Yeah. Not that it's a bad thing. I mean, I have won lorries. So, I mean, but if at all we could do fewer impactful campaigns that actually speak to the consumer need, then we are applying love to what we are doing, right? Dedication, ingenuity. In fact, ingenuity can be an enabler to make sure that whatever we are doing is innovative. It's cutting through the clutter, but not that we are focusing on is what can get me another award, you know. So I think we underinvest in love for consumers.
Love your consumer, right? Basically, I think it's great, especially when we're discussing viral or value, because to go viral, you have to love your consumer, and your consumer has to love you back, right? It's not a one-sided relationship.
It can be the opposite.
Your consumer can hate you,
And
you go.
and you go viral for it.
Yeah.
True. But value always comes from a place of love. And now I'm going to ask everyone some quick rapid-fire questions, right? What is the hype metric that you trust the least? What is that viral metric that you trust the least? We can start with you, Kristen.
Okay. I think in the space that I operate in currently, for me, impressions don't matter to me. I'm done with hearing impressions. They don't matter to me at all. I just take it as noise because, no, not impressions. Yeah, let's talk about things that are more tangible. If you tell me things like clicks, I can take that. I can say maybe our website got busy and it didn't fail. So, our website is strong. Yeah. There's value in that. Yeah. Or maybe submissions on a lead form. That matters. But impressions, those are vibes. Do not impress me.
Same here. Impressions and likes, I think I'll throw likes in there. Because impressions... it's just there. Then likes to some extent is also unconscious. So it does not necessarily mean that you're doing well. That does not mean that you're resonating. It's just a dopamine metric that is there from these platforms to keep you putting content out there. So I think same here. Impressions and likes.
I agree. Actually, impressions, likes, it's like empty calories. They give you nothing. And when I say impressions and that's the only thing that we are scoring so highly on, I feel like, man, that's an expensive entertainment piece we put out there. It is just entertainment, but that it has to be coupled up. I'm not saying that it's a bad metric, but it has to be coupled up with more meaningful metrics. And that's not the question, but impressions and likes.
Yeah, it does lead to my next question. For what impact metric do you trust the most? I have a feeling I know Christine's.
Yes. For me, we call it L4W, which is penetration. Really, how many people are consuming your product at least for the last 4 weeks? Yeah, for the last 7 days, for the last 3 months, and that speaks to retention. It depends on where you look from what angle you're looking at. Lifetime value of that consumer. Are you keeping them? Are you retaining your consumer? Is your baseline strong? Yeah, and not like it's not like you come from zero every time. What's your baseline? That is important to me. So if impressions are going to lead to a higher baseline, a higher penetration score for my brand, then yes, exactly.
For me, primarily on the commerce side, but conversions. So what are my conversions looking like based on the campaign that you're putting out? But then there are other campaigns where the main priority is engagement for a specific period where it is necessary. So engagement rate, but for specific campaigns. But the primary metric that I'm very keen on, conversion.
Yeah, you know mine. I said leads. Yeah, because that's where my business is currently at.
Yeah.
We want to grow our business, and conversion. So the leads that I'm bringing in, how are they converting? Yeah.
Okay. Leads over everything. Second to last question. One thing that marketers overestimate, and what is one thing that marketers underestimate? Tutaanza tu na wewe.
Okay. I think it's similar to what she said. I think we overestimate getting the campaign to be very creative and underestimate what's the impact it's delivering to the consumer. So we are more on like, is it how red it is, how twisty are the words, but then what will the consumer get out of it? Yeah.
We overestimate cleverness.
Yes. Because it wins awards. Yeah.
And what do we underestimate?
We underestimate the love that the customer can build out of it to the brand, and how impactful in the space of sustainability, ESG, what is the real impact to that customer? Are you just putting an ad, out there, or are you putting something that you can report the number of lives transformed? Are you putting it out there to say, the number of people who bought medical covers? Or are you just putting it there because it's a cool campaign, it creates awareness for the brand, but what is the real impact from a social perspective to the customer, to the real consumer? Did it make them buy something? Did it make them, can you report about it from an ESG perspective? Yeah.
Wanda?
I think most marketers overestimate reach. We design campaigns again to win awards. I've been a victim of that. Want this one to reach as many people as possible, but is it relatable? So I feel like that's one metric, something most marketers overestimate. What most marketers and businesses underestimate is, in my opinion, friction. So in two ways. The first one, friction almost stifles big ideas. So you've gone out with a very resonating campaign, but the first few weeks it's not being received well, and then you shy away. No, there's an opportunity to turn the narrative around and build upon it, as long as it does not damage the brand reputation. The other friction is on the customer experience. Get this feedback. If you're putting out a product and people don't like it, don't withdraw. Get the feedback, and again, that's a tension point from your customers. You're working with them well enough to engage you on the issues they have. So work with that to be building products that resonate with the customers, and this way you even maintain their brand loyalty because they see you, hear them, and you respond accordingly. Yeah.
Look, I think we underestimate how intelligent our consumers are. they can see through things that we send out there that are just, to get likes, to get impressions, to get awareness, just to be seen. We really underestimate that. And I think we underestimate their feedback as well. What they say, they tell us. I'll give you an example. Or rather, a case in point. We could send out a new product out in the market, and consumers are telling us this product is like cough syrup. But we don't want to listen. We don't want to take that feedback. We're saying no, maybe I mean, that was a bit too straight to the point, too obvious. We underestimate their feedback. If only we could just listen to them and not try and impose our ideas on consumers, then maybe we'd get somewhere and faster, instead of dragging out that entire process. What we overestimate, think it's awareness, salience, top of mind awareness. Just because you're known doesn't mean that it translates to commercial value. Doesn't mean that I'll engage with you or I'll purchase you. I know you, but that's cool. That's just about it. So we sometimes underestimate awareness, salience.
It's pretty interesting that you said that. It's reminded me of a case study where KitKat was facing the problem all brands want. They were too well known that they became almost blind. They were blind on the shelves because everyone knows KitKat. So it's an interesting place to be and want to be. And I guess almost wrapping up this conversation we're having on virality, which I can call share of culture versus value, share of wallet. Looking to 2026 and beyond, what do you think matters more, share of culture or share of wallet? And will the most valuable brands be the ones that lie on which side? I don't know if you want to start this one.
Yeah, I could start. Virality versus share of wallet, right?
Share of culture versus share of wallet.
Share of culture versus share of wallet. That's very interesting. And one of the things that I'm very passionate as a marketer is culture. How can we embed our campaigns, what we do, in the heart of culture? I personally believe that in 2026, the most valuable brands will be the ones that really leverage culture, so that they get a good chunk of share of wallet. Yeah. I'll give you an example. One that has transcended time. Niko na Safaricom. You guys remember that campaign? Yeah. Do you know what actually I found out the other day when it was coming out? I was quite young. The people that we see in that TV copy are employees of Safaricom. Did you know that? Did you know that?
The people who sing?
Yeah. They were employees.
Okay. I didn't know that.
One, that TVC went viral. We all know it. We all remember it. Before TikTok was
viral
even there.
on TV.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We remember it. It's impactful. It's meaningful, and it also makes that the employees themselves brand ambassadors. Even before influencers were a thing, they already had influencers, and they have employees that are passionate about what they do. I mean, you're killing two birds with one stone, right? And so that is virality that also translated to commercial value, because how many of us at that time didn't get Safaricom lines? Everybody wanted to be associated with Niko na Safaricom.
Yes.
What they also did is that ad, the jingle, the soundbed became one of the Skiza tunes. So when someone is calling you, that's what they're listening to. That's what they're hearing. Yeah. So they're not only getting loyalty, they're also getting value from the people who are downloading it as a Skiza tune. All right. So culture, share of wallet, they go hand in hand. You can't separate the two. And we merge them. And you've seen campaigns that have done that brilliantly. I think that's the way to go.
Yeah. I know. Like, I'm trying to see how we can connect that. So, I think moving forward, you can't separate the two. Culture inspires how you spend, and I think Tusker have been almost the best in tapping into the culture
I didn't want
even
to brag.
yeah, and even
trying to be
shaping the culture
humble.
to some extent. Like I remember since I was a child, every time I'm going out with like my uncles to have a kanyama choma, you can't get away from the Tusker brand. So it's almost incepted in your mind as you grow up that kanyama kanaendanisha na, so it's tough to beat that. But from where I sit, I see brands need to again still be very careful on how they tap into the culture, because again there are different microcultures around the different generations, and finding yourself in the wrong scene at the wrong time can also impact your brand very negatively. So you have to find a way to authentically relate to the audience in the culture that fits your brand, and then now work with that niche to be able to manage the share of wallet that you can access. So in my opinion, the way I see it, culture gives you access to your audience, but the way you sustain the engagement is through the engagement in the business is through the share of wallet. Yeah. So you have to give them value while still resonating with the cultures that they relate to.
Yeah, hivyo too. Just to maybe to add what both I agree with what they've said. So to add on to what he's saying is then further, so as you push that ad that's centered on culture for you to win the wallet, so how are you framing it? What is what are those metrics that you're really tracking so that it doesn't just appeal to the culture and the wallet suffers, or with the expectation that the wallet will automatically feed into the ad that's centered on the culture. So to be very intentional on those metrics that you really want. If it's brand love, it's okay, the culture can drive itself. But if you want it to translate into business, like what she said, for Safaricom, the end goal was buy a SIM card. Yeah, it wasn't just we tukona Safaricom, ni vibe Safaricom ndio, the new thing. But it was then the call to action, maybe subtly and not so openly, was to all of us, let's get a Safaricom line, and that happened. So it's to be very intentional on the metrics that you're tracking, so that it doesn't end at the end of the day. When you're justifying your budget to the CFO, you don't say, but guys love us. You have to say then, out of that campaign we spent X amount of money, and these are the SIM cards we got out of it. So it's very to be at the end of it all, you have that KPI in mind that you're tracking from a business perspective.
100%. And I think that's a lovely conclusion to our talk today, because yes, let's have that share of culture, but that share of culture should translate to share of wallet. And you need, as marketers, I guess our job is to show how those two connect. In the boardroom, in the CFO's office, they might live differently, but virality and value are not mutually exclusive. They work best together. Thank you guys for being an amazing panel. If any of you have questions, you can drop them down in the comments and we shall answer. But asanteni sana.
Thank
you very much.